I like to call myself an artist. I had been lucky enough to actually live on my art by selling paintings and illustrating books and articles and things. I'm here because of a kind of art I've been making for the last 10 years. As a matter of fact, this month, January, is the 10th anniversary of the first portrait I painted in this series I call Americans Who Tell the Truth. And it's absolutely the opposite of any other of the kind of art I ever thought I would be making.
I mean, I love his work. He's more surrealistic, and he has a following and is very successful, was very successful in his personal creative work. And to hear the transition at 9/11 and at the rage of the injustice and the rage of the wrong direction, we feel the wrongness.
I was filled with rage, basically. Well, more than rage. Grief, rage, shame, a lot of very powerful negative feelings about the way we were being led into the Iraq War. I thought, what can I do? Why don't I start surrounding myself with Americans that make me feel proud? And that's where it started. I mean, I painted Walt Whitman, was my first portrait, and then I began painting all these 19th century figures who have done so much on civil rights, women's rights, workers' rights, all that kind of stuff. And beginning for me to really understand our history in a way that I never had before.
To be able to let go of the success and all that he has accumulated over the years, and to respond to that personal grief and the destruction, and to turn it to something constructive, something that roots deep in the past, and something that he has to become a student to understand and to learn to do research. And he has to teach himself in new kind of portrait. I know portraits are very hard. I joke with him that, well, I need to take your lesson because I can't get my nose straight, right? But it's difficult.
I mostly paint with my fingers now. I mean, I use a brush to sort of position paint, and then I shape it with my hands, almost like I'm doing sculpture. Each painting is first drawn on a white background, and then I put a terracotta wash over it, the whole painting, so that I'm painting on a red surface. This is a really old portrait painter's technique, and the reason is that if you're going to then build up with thin paint on top of it, the red is going to glow through the paint just like blood under your skin. And if you look closely at any of the paintings, you can see that the warmer tones and the reddish tones in the lips and the ears and the nostrils and the corners of the eyes, there's almost no paint there. It's actually the underpaint which is coming through.
I was just looking at the different portrait. Each personality is so different. You know, like in this, you see the kind of staring and almost confrontational. And when I saw my portrait, I think it has a lot of sadness to me, you know, like a kind of weariness, but also ease with that. And I think part of that is because I go to the broken communities and I hear people's stories. I listen to the struggle, the challenge, and so forth. So I think a lot of that came through when I look at my eye expression.
Not only do I make portraits, but I scratch words into the surface of the portrait so that you get a sense of why the person is looking at you so emphatically and what it is that they want you to know about what they believe in and what they want you to do. These paintings I don't sell. I eventually plan to give the entire collection away. And so now my career's changed. I mean, I'm continuing to make paintings, but I basically survive, though, by becoming an educator about American history, what it means to be a citizen, political history, all of things that I've been learning and then love going out and telling, especially young people, the stories of the people I've painted to inspire them to be better citizens, basically.
Robert Shetterly's exhibit is located in the library at St. Edward's University, up in the second floor. Robert is constantly getting students coming to his office and wanting to chat with him and have a coffee and go through their ideas with him. And he is been visiting different classes, meeting with the students, having wonderful discussions with faculty.
Today in a class I was in right here today, we got into a very interesting question about racism. The more it went on, the more complicated and interesting the question became. But it was great to hear the students actually debate this issue. That's what this series of paintings actually enables sometimes, is for people to have those discussions which they have not necessarily previously had. And then I'm able to put it in the context of particular lives and particular movements and what actually solved a problem. When I present the history I present, the stories I present, it's with a pretty strong point of view. But it's not one that says, I'm right and you're wrong. It's one that says, this is the way I see it. These are some people who acted with extraordinary courage to try to make this country be what it claims to be. What do you think? And I invite a counter-narrative.
Americans Who Tell the Truth, it's light in itself. It has a lot to do with the Light Project. It's bringing historic figures who have done a lot towards democracy in this country, and also people who are not that well known and are doing heroic things, and they have a great courage to bring the common good to all of us. We have received a few emails throughout the week from students saying, thank you for bringing Robert Shetterly here. I'm an artist and he's showing me the way, he's showing me things that I can do for this world and for my community.
In a broader context, I think the impact that it does have, and certainly I intend it to have, is to help people understand what it means to be a citizen of a country, especially a democracy. One of the common things I hear is that it gives hope to people. That when they see not just the historical figures, but how many contemporary figures that I've painted, it gives people hope that somebody is out there with persistence and courage trying to work on whatever kind of issue it is, maybe having some success, and then they become models. What I try to do myself, working with, especially in schools, is just that, to inspire young people to take control of the issues in their own lives. You don't have to be 50 years old and know a lot about the world, theoretically, to be able to solve a problem. You have to be a person who's upset and willing to ask the right questions, and then probably go out on a limb to do something about it. But you can be 11 years old and do that. You can be 15 and do that, and actually change a situation. And that's one of the most important things.